If you're watching this now, please send help. Luke's had me locked up in this garage for the last 3 days. He's gone crazy. I haven't seen my family, I haven't seen anyone, I haven't been able to leave here. So if you're watching this now...
Hey, you in there?
That's it now.
Is this thing finished yet or what?
Please send help.
After weeks and weeks of grinding, cutting, painting, you name it, it's time to get this car back together. I've been here flat out helping Broomy so we can get the car to the dyno. ASAP, let's have a closer look at what we've done.
This is way bullshit.
What?
No, nothing. All good.
Giving most of the suspension components just a little quick once over with it as well. So you'll see they used to be blue, I think. So just before I put the engine nut in, just tied up it black, and we've got all of here done now. So it's all pretty blacked out, which is great. Cross members all black, engine bay's red. So about ready to drop it all in. So before we put everything back in the car, we just wanted to test fit everything that we just got back from the powder coaters. I'm almost speechless. It's absolutely awesome. You can see we did a machined out and deleted all the OE stuff for emissions and that here, and we cleaned it up, and it was a bit rough looking, but the powder coating is it's awesome. They actually double coated the plenum, and look, you can see the GoPro there. Even the reflection, it's just such a brilliant finish. This is all ceramic coated, ceramic heat coated to try and insulate a little bit of that heat that gets expelled into the engine bay. The rest is like a deep gloss black finish. So we got the plenum done, the bottom half, the inlet manifold, even the water pipe setup that we made. I mean, the finish is superb. And here's our tank, and the guys' business is #1 powder coating, NO1 powder coating. They're located in Sunshine in Victoria. The best thing about powder coating is that it's really heavy duty and resistant to chemicals and stuff. So we drop a bit of fuel or oil on this it's a simple cleanup, and yeah, you're not going to get much better than that. I mean, painting scores after a while. This is pretty much what our brake system will look like. So we've got the front section of the master cylinder, the rear section of the master cylinder, left and right calipers, left and right rear calipers, and this is the split. So rear master cylinder section will come out here, enter in here, and split off, and we'll put this at the diff somewhere, and these lines will run off to the left and right rear calipers. So that is pretty much it. What we look at doing is bringing it back a little bit, running it up a bit higher. We might run it out here, I think. Making these lines is pretty much as simple as starting off at a single point. We can start here perhaps. I've never really used the tool. What we want to do is we need to get this olive. This olive needs to go in here. So to do that properly, we just fray the braid a bit. This can be a bit tricky and painful because it's all frayed just of little braided steel wires. So get one of them on your fingertips and you bleed like a stuck pig. So Just be careful. Push this back over, start to tighten. There's one completed brake line. On ProFlow they sell ADR compliant, which is Australian Design Regulations compliant brake lines, which are crimped and designed for road use. So how I've designed that line there, that is not legal for road use, but for race car use, it's totally fine. So, alright, it's nice and tight in there. Some slack to play with. Come here. Now of course we will tidy up how that sits and where that sits and how it attaches and whatnot, but that there is pretty much it. Now it's just rinse and repeat for all the other sides. Alright, so one of the last steps before we can fill this thing with fluids is making this tube. That looks about spot on.
Well, Broomy was right. There was always going to be one or two things left to do. The lifeblood of any car is its fluids.
That's right, I've used Penrite for over 15 years now. Sometimes I've strayed to other brands just to try different things, but they've never worked out for me and I've always hurried back to Penrite. The best part about Penrite for this build is that they have an oil and a fluid for just about every part of it. The diff, the trans, you name it, oil, castor oil, coolant, they've got the lot. So it was an easy one-stop brand solution for our car, one that we trust too. So let's have a bit of a closer look at all the fluids and oils that we'll be using.
For high heat, high pressure rotary turbocharged engines with extra bearing clearance, Broomy chooses HPR 40. While still technically an oil, castor oil will be added to our fuel tank. As we've removed the factory oil metering pump system, we still need to lubricate and cool the apex seals, so by adding clean fresh oil to the fuel system, we can still manage this process. This race castor is also rated for E85 fuel. Many two-stroke oils are ester based and just won't mix with ethanol fuels. Coolant with glycol is a big no-no at racetracks. Glycol is bloody near impossible to clean up, so if you drop some on the racing surface, you're going to be enemy number one of track officials and racers alike. There's nothing fancy about our transmission fluid, just good old high quality Dextron 3 here, like you've probably used in many family type cars. The diff fluid, however, is much different. A standard road car might run a 75W80 oil, whereas here we've gone for an 85W140. Okay, so that's about it with the car. Is there anything else we need to cover off on?
That is pretty much it. The only thing now is probably cosmetics. So the Duco's in okay condition. It looks all right from a distance, but good from afar, far but good. It's really rough with a lot of overspray on it. So what we'll do now is I'll get the buffer out, I'll get the sander out, get some elbow grease out and really work on it and try and get a bit of a polish up so we can get to the dyno and get it looking good under those lights.
You can see this the paintwork on this car in quite a lot of places. It's a fair bit of TLC. Definitely a layer of overspray or something all over the car, pretty much. The paintwork underneath seems pretty good, but it's very, very rough to touch. It just feels like actually it feels like sandpaper. It's probably hard to pick it up, but you can almost see like that's not metal flake in the paint. This isn't a metallic car. This is a flat red, a nice red color, but it's all that metallic looking stuff there is actually imperfection in the paint. It's an overspray, or I assume it's overspray. I'm not sure even if it's. One thing I'm definitely not a master at is car care for paintwork, etc. So asked a couple of friends of mine what they recommend. They've said that I have to probably sand and cut deep first with a 1500. Follow that up with a 2000. So the 1500 will, with our orbital buffer, will cut through any of the scratches and the imperfections here. The 2000 will remove a lot of those scratch marks, and then we'll use another product, a cutting compound. Here's one section that I've done as a test area. You might be able to see the reflection. You can see basically the light there perfectly. I mean, you can make out exactly what it is there, and you can see there, the whole reflection of the actual light here. You can even read, the DeWalt there reflecting off the paint. So this area that I've had a go at working on looks great now versus, if we try and do the same thing on here, you can see just how poor it is, how poor the paint is. So got some 1500 sanding pads here, got some 2000s, I've got a random orbital buffer, or random orbital sander, I should say, and then I've got a buffer, and this is some super duper trade spec cutting compound. I did actually try quite a few retail cutting compounds and paint correction compounds and that, and they did jack. Basically, they did nothing. So talked to my mate Glenn, and he said don't get anything other than this stuff. And well, he was right. This stuff was just amazing. I can't believe the job that it did. So these are Velcro discs. So this is only 4-inch. I think these are 5-inch discs. So I'll get it lined up as well as I can. Realistically, I should be using like a foam backing pad on this too. This is soft, but you probably should use a softer one. But I'm not really, quite honestly, I just don't care. So make sure that's free of any debris, of course. Work out somewhere where it's pretty much inconspicuous. So don't start in the middle of the roof or your middle of the door. I started here. You might be able to see it's pretty good looking there. So that's where I started, and that's what I'd recommend anyone do. So start somewhere where you're not going to notice it. You're really not going to notice it, and then work your way up to maybe somewhere else. Obviously, I tried on half the boot here, because if I wanted just to repaint the boot, it's easier. Take the boot off, paint it. Alright, so that's the first run over it, and it's pretty good. It's nice and smooth again. It's got all its shine back, so it should be fine. Just needs a bit more of a clean up. I'll go over it with the buff again, but it's a good start.
Well, that's it. We're done and dusted.
Finally, I can sleep.
In the next episode, we're going to go to the dyno.